The 32nd Social Science Congress was held at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. In this Congress, the Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus delivered a lecture on women of South Asia.
I got into big debate, big controversy with the banking system in Bangladesh because I was insisting that banks should lend money to the poor people. And they were refusing by saying that they cannot do that, they are not supposed to do that because poor people are not creditworthy. And I was insisting that you have to try it out to say that. You cannot just pronounce a verdict of death sentence without even giving them a fair trial. They wouldn't listen to me. So I was attacking them in every single way. This is the mid-70s. And the first attack is, of course, that banking system is absolutely wrong because they refuse to give services to the poor people. I said, it's a very funny thing you have because you give money to people who already have money and you refuse to give money to people who don't have money. It's very strange. I thought it should be the other way around. But that argument didn't sit very well with them. Then I added one more argument. I said banking system is wrong because they refuse women of all kinds, even the rich women. They don't lend money. They said, no, this is not true. I said, it's very much true. Why don't you look at your performance record? I said, not even 1% of your borrowers happen to be women. Why is it so? They had no good explanation except saying they don't come to us. I said, they do, but you don't treat them well. If a woman brings a loan proposal to a bank manager, I said, the bank manager will flip through that proposal and gradually say, have you discussed it with your husband? If she says, yes, I have, then manager will say, is he supportive of your proposal? Yes, of course, he is very much supportive of my proposal. Then he will finally say, why don't you bring him along Monday so that we can discuss this proposal? I said, has it ever happened in the history of banking in Bangladesh, the man bringing his proposal and the bank manager flipping through that proposal and saying, have you discussed it with your wife? Is she supportive of it? Why don't you bring her along so that we can discuss this? I said, it never happens. I said, that's where you went wrong. You made the rules different for women, and women don't get the treatment they deserve. So when I began offering myself as a guarantor, I said, okay, I take the risk, I sign all your papers, and I take the money to the village and give the money to the poor, and risk is on me. And that's how it began in 1976. I wanted to make sure half the borrowers in my program are women. This is to answer the banking system, that it can be done differently. So I went in the village talking to the women. I couldn't talk to the women, so Nur Jahan and her friend Jannat, they are the ones who are going around. And women will not join. Said, no, no, don't give it to me. I don't know what to do with money. I never touched money in my life. So how do you do that? And sometimes they are frustrated, oh, they are poor women are not taking money, why don't you just go ahead and move on? I said, no, we have to have women in our program, 50%. So we have been very patient. We explain to ourselves, when a woman says, I'm afraid of money, I don't want to touch money, I don't know what to do with the money that you give me. I said, this is not the voice of the woman, this is the voice of the history. History which created fear around her, all around her. So if you come up with the idea of giving money, she said, she gets scared. She said, why didn't you give it to my husband? He's the one who handles money, I don't. I said, we have to be very careful, very patient, and peel off this fear, layer by layer. So that someday one woman will say, maybe I should try, there's nothing to lose, I have lost everything. At least let me give it a try. And if she tries, if she's successful, then her neighbors become curious. How did she do it? Maybe we should do it too. And the snowball effect will come. And more or less, that's how it happened. It took us 6 years to get to that point of 50-50. And we were celebrating. We made it. Everybody said it cannot be done. Now we have done it. Then we started noticing something very remarkable. Money that went to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family compared to the same amount of money going to the family through men. That's when we started noticing more carefully. Is it true every case? Is it every case? Is it true? So gradually we started asking ourselves the question, what is so good about 50-50? Why don't we just abandon that 50-50 policy? Focus on women. Because by entering the household through women, it brings so much more result, a positive result. Why don't we should do that? So we started doing that. And gradually we moved on and it became 80%, 90%, 97%. Today, Grameen Bank has nearly 8 million borrowers and 97% of them are women. When the idea of microcredit, the kind of things that we do, spread around the world, they didn't go through the same procedure that we have gone through in our learning curve. They just took it as a credit for women. So microcredit became a synonymous thing for credit for women. So all around the world, men are just dropped out completely because it works so much better. The family situation changes so dramatically when you address it through the women. Today, Grameen Bank is not only serving those nearly 8 million borrowers, they are the one, those borrowers are the owners of this bank. So another issue came, the ownership issue. When we designed this bank, we insisted right from day one, this bank should be owned by the borrowers. Everybody was shocked. How can you have a bank for the poor people and be owned by the poor people? I said, what's wrong with it? So it was a big struggle for us, make the government accept that idea, that this bank should be owned by the poor people. And not only poor people, it turned out it's poor women. And still it is owned by the poor women. And then we started paying attention to the children, because all these borrowers that we have are illiterate women. Hardly you will find anybody who can read and write. Can't even write their own names. So we made it a point that why don't we concentrate on the second generation of these families, encouraging them to send their children to school. Coming from a totally illiterate families, we are saying all the children of Grameen families must be in a school. So this became a big campaign for us. And luckily we succeeded in having all the children in school. And it made a tremendous difference in those families. Today, those children are in high schools, in colleges, in universities. Grameen Bank gives scholarships to the top students who are in the highest position in the classes. Each year, we give out more than 30,000 scholarships, and that number keeps increasing each year. And then we started giving student loans, because many of these kids who for the first generation came to school, not only they went through the high school, they started coming to the colleges and universities. And this is very expensive when we get there. They didn't have the money. Their parents don't have the money. We said, don't worry. Grameen Bank will provide you all the money to carry on. Right now, we have more than 35,000 students in medical schools, engineering schools, universities, entirely financed from Grameen Bank. Not a single student from Grameen families is rejected from these student loans. Anybody who can make it to the higher education, all financing is done by Grameen Bank. So a complete new generation is coming up. Some of these young students who have already completed their PhDs, some became professionals in many, many different sectors. So a new generation is coming up. So it's not only the loan that we give out, what impact it makes within the family, how they move out of the problems that they have faced along the way. Another idea that came because of a debate that I had, and I should share with you because it's probably a common idea. You'll share same views that, like we have. People keep saying that microcredit is good only for entrepreneurial poor. So not too many poor are entrepreneurs. So it is only limited application. Every time I hear this, it kind of hits me very hard because it goes against the grain of my belief. Because I believe very strongly that all human beings are entrepreneurs, irrespective of where he or she is born. So it's not something that you can take off from a human being. It's part of a human being. For time being, they may not know that that quality exists in them because society never gave them a chance to discover it. So that doesn't mean it doesn't exist in them. It's a question of unleashing it, making them aware that that quality exists in them. So in order to demonstrate what we did, we started focusing on a specific group of people, beggars. We said, why don't we give loans to beggars? 4 years back, we launched that program that we exclusively give loans to beggars. What do we tell them? We go and talk to them, try to understand about life and so on. And at one point we'll say, would you be interested in carrying some merchandise with you as you go from house to house begging? Would you carry some cookies, some candies, some toys for the kids or something like that? And then give people option, whether they will give you something free, some food, some money, or they will buy something from you. And we make it easy for them to understand. I said, you go there anyway. This is not extra work for you. All you are doing, just carry a basket or a bag or something. They liked the idea. We said, we'll give you the money to buy all this. And then if you can sell, you make money, that's good for income for you. And people may give you something free. In addition, they can buy something from you. Or they buy something from you, don't give anything to you, whatever way. We thought there will be about 2,000, 3,000 beggars in that program. It became such a popular program. Now we have more than 100,000 beggars in that program. And in that 4 years, more than 15,000 beggars have stopped begging completely because they became successful door-to-door salesperson. And the loan size is about 500 taka, about 800 taka. With a 500 taka loan, 800 taka loan, if you can help a person get out of this inhuman, indignified profession of begging by her own choice, nobody's forcing her, nobody's forcing him, why can't we just lend this money to them? And we made it very simple for them. We said, look, this is a loan, you have to pay us back. But there is no interest on this loan, so it will never grow. So you don't have to worry about time, how much time you take. And we don't have a maturity date. It's open-ended loan. So you'll never become a defaulter in your life. So feel free, absolutely free. But if you pay us back, then you're ready for the next loan. That's the only attraction we gave them. Out of these over 100,000 beggars, most of them are on second loan and third loan and fourth loans. And they are in the process of getting out of begging. Of the 90,000 or more who are still begging, people ask me, when are they going to come out of begging? I said, well, for the time being, they are part-time beggars and part-time salespersons. They're on the way. I said, you don't push them, because after all, begging is their core business. It's not easy to get out of the core business. It takes time to get out. But in the meantime, they're building up their sales division. So as soon as they get strong in that, they will move on. So this is another kind of thing that people have the ability. It's a question of giving them opportunity. And all this money that we lend out over $100 million a month. And all comes from our own system. We don't borrow from any international organization. We don't take money from the government. We don't take money from the banks or anything. Each branch mobilizes the deposits and lend money to the local poor people. That's it, as simple as that. And money comes back, people change their own life completely. And today, that program that it is spread within Bangladesh and elsewhere, Bangladesh has experienced lots of differences in the last 25 years. And many of them are related to a dramatic change in the status of women in Bangladesh. Because today's women in Bangladesh are completely different than the women used to be 25 years back. And you can see it everywhere as you go around, what happens to the people, what happens to the women. So now the ownership becomes very easy for them. Education becomes very easy for them. We created company after company to help them to address their other issues. Like we created a company called Grameen Phone. And we wanted to bring mobile phone in the hands of the poor women. Everybody thought it's a ridiculous idea. What is she going to do? Who is she going to call? I said, no, that's not the idea. We want to bring the phone in the hands of the poor women because this phone will become a business for her. She will sell the service of the phone to the villages. So in '97, we created this company, Grameen Phone, and it became a very successful company. This is the largest mobile phone company in the country. In a way, it's the largest company in the country, the largest taxpayer in the country. So you can imagine how big the company is. But we brought the phones in the hands of the poor women. And it became a roaring business for them. And for the first time, a woman has a phone in her hand. An entire village never saw a telephone. It's the poorest woman in that village who has a phone. Everybody has to come to her to make a phone call. And she makes a lot of money by doing that. So we had more than 400,000 telephone ladies, as we call them. And today, mobile phone is everywhere. Her business went down. So now we say, we'll move on from telephone ladies to internet ladies. They will provide the internet services. They will be ahead of the game. Because all these telephones are internet-enabled telephones. So you can easily get your internet connectivity just by having a phone. So this is the phase that we are going through. And as we go around, we see lots of things can be changed. We don't have to wait for the government all the time. Government has big responsibilities. We help them to make them happen. But that should not let the citizens off the hook. We citizens must act on our own because we have our own creativity. Just because we are a citizen doesn't mean that I don't have the capacity. Government has the capacity to take care of education, take care of health, take care of income, take care of employment. I can do all of them. All I have to do is to just have a creative idea. How do we do that? And this is the initiative that we try to do. Wherever we saw a problem, not only we complained that government is not doing it, we went ahead and did it. Microcredit is one. Grameen Phone is another one. We created Grameen Shakti, which is a solar energy company, initially renewable energy company. We have now installed more than 250,000 solar home systems in Bangladesh. Each month we are adding 8,000 or more solar home system in Bangladesh. And we are hoping that we can reach out to 1 million solar home system very soon, within 2 to 3 years. So this is another way. It's a business, but not a business to make money for anybody. It's a business to solve the problem because it has to be sustainable. And we created other companies and we call them social business. And we focused on nutrition, which is one of the subjects of this conference. Millions of children in Bangladesh are malnourished. What we did, we created a yogurt company in collaboration with a famous yogurt company called Danone. So we created Grameen Danone company. And we produced this yogurt, make it very cheap. Because when it's a social business, you can skip a lot of extra cost. You bring down to the cost very, very low. And put all the micronutrients which are missing, vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, into that yogurt and sell it to the poor children. And if a child eats 2 cups of this yogurt every week, within 8 to 9 months, the child regains all the micronutrients which were missing and becomes a healthy child in less than a year. So this is the objective of the company. A social business is one which is geared to a social objective. It's a non-loss, non-dividend company. So Grameen Danone is a non-loss, non-dividend company and aims at bringing nutrition to the children. We created another company for water. Bangladesh has a serious water problem because our water is arsenic contaminated, very high level of arsenic. And half the population of Bangladesh drinks poison every day. Their children drink poison every day. And no recourse, no solution to that. So we created a company called Grameen Veolia Water Company. We treat water from the surface water and bring high quality drinking water in the villages. Like you have the bottled water, this quality of this water is better than our bottled water in the city because it's done by Veolia, which is the largest water company in the world. And it's a social business because we brought down the cost of water so cheap that everybody can afford it. But the company covers its cost so that it can continue, it never goes out of business, and people have the water. So this is another one to bring water and nutrition for other company. And we have now starting another company with BASF of Germany. It's a nutritional supplement and treated mosquito nets, which we'll be producing in Bangladesh. I'm mentioning this, you have enormous varieties of things we can do. We don't have to team up with the biggest company. It could be any tiny little thing. All we need to do, create a social business, which becomes a seed, an idea transformed into a seed. Once you can operate it, you can design and operate and you can recover your cost, all you have to do now is to replicate it, move from one to another. So there are lots of seeds among you. The things that you do could be converted into social business. Once you can put it into social business format, then anybody can pick it up and do it on their own because it doesn't depend on anybody's mercy, anybody's policy decision. It's your decision, it's my decision. We can go into business. So in the process, we can address all the environmental issues. We can address the poverty issues, health issues. Now we want to do it health in a social business way so that we can address the issue of child mortality and maternal mortality in Bangladesh, which is still high. It went down a lot, but still high. We want to make sure it comes down near zero through social business of addressing. You don't need doctors to protect a pregnant mother having a safe delivery. It's such a simple idea, but we never do that. So how to convert this into an idea that can work and continue? If you address these issues through women, it impacts, like in Bangladesh, for example, one of the dramatic results Bangladesh has is a reduction of its growth rate, population growth rate. Bangladesh was one of the highest population growth rate, so 3.3, some 25, 30 years back. Today it has come down to the lowest in the SAARC region, 1.4. So this is how it goes down. And as you are familiar, in Muslim countries, population growth rate happens to be high. But we kind of got off that track. We moved on, and it's because the women became very conscious about their life and so on. And similarly, other reflections within Bangladesh because of the awareness generated in women, and that showed up very clearly in the healthcare indicators. If you just look at the healthcare indicators of Bangladesh, 25 years, 30 years back, healthcare indicators was one of the worst in the whole SAARC region. And during these 25 years, healthcare indicators one by one bypassed every other country. Today is one of the top in the healthcare indicators in Bangladesh. It's not only because many NGOs and government have done things, basic thing has changed, basic condition has changed in Bangladesh, the condition of women. So this is such a vital issue. It's not just out of some particular concern for gender equity and so on. It's fundamental for any nation to change that basis on which the nation stands. And that's where you have to concentrate on the status of women. That changes the entire paradigm of the national kind of path. And in this context of the financial crisis, because this crisis is not just a financial crisis, it's a combination of many crises. And as we look at the crisis and feel shaken or kind of become a little bit down about the future, I see this as a great opportunity to shake off all the old ideas and old ways of doing things and install completely new picture, new ideas, and new things. And the new technology already is with us. It's a question of using this technology to create the new framework that we need to do. And that's what we should be all looking for, and we should be learning from each other so that this region will not be the same region that we had before or we have it today. Our region in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, will be a leading region in the whole world. Thank you very much.